Street, and it's a beautiful September evening. The streets are alive. So as you can see, I'm still in Toronto. I'm still going through my struggles of going through my divorce. Have to be here, unfortunately, hopefully for not much longer, but for now I am. So I'm trying to make the best of my time. I'm trying to think about videos I could make for you guys that would be interesting. And if you have any ideas, let me know. But right now I'm just walking on Bloor Street and heading towards Yonge, which is kind of the epicenter of downtown. Ooh, look, you see the mushrooms? The mushrooms theme. That's new. I wonder if it's a kind of a subliminal advertising message. Aritzia's promoting mushrooms. So psilocybin's very hot, very popular here. I know a lot of people doing psilocybin. And I remember when I was in university, we would do psilocybin, but it was, it's mostly like a hippie thing. And now it's more mainstream. Many people I know do psilocybin, and they do it for different reasons. They do it for relaxation and to reduce anxiety, things like that. Back then we used to do it for recreation, have fun. So this is Yonge and Bloor in Toronto. One of the most important intersections in this city. It used to be anyways. This was the intersection for a very long time. When Yonge Street was a very popular street. It's not as much anymore, but before these buildings were here, this building was never here, this building was never here. There's just these two, like 2-story, 3-story buildings, like you see there. I'm just going to take a walk down Yonge Street. Yonge Street was a very popular street to walk down when I was younger. It was where all the people would gather, especially on a Friday, Saturday night. If you wanted to come and show off your car and cruise around, Yonge Street was the place. Oh yeah, this place has been here. This is called the Brass Rail, and it is basically a strip joint. I think I might have gone in there once. I don't usually go to strip joints. It's not my thing. Let's see what is going on here on Yonge Street. What is happening, people? What is happening? Feels like people are just getting home, chilling out at the end of the week. You notice how a lot of the stores here are closed. I'll just walk over. Show you right here. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stores closed in a row. I don't know if they're just going to be tearing these buildings down and building a condo or something, but real estate is not what it used to be here. Yeah, I think, yeah, they're going to tear this down too. So it looks like there's going to be a condo in here of some sort. And that's basically what's going on these days in Toronto. Toronto's going through a lot of transformation, especially when it comes to real estate. Look at this. I don't know if you can see across the street, all the broken glass, all the broken windows. It's an abandoned building. And it looks like it's going to get torn down too. Looks like there's going to be a condo in here as well. Yeah. What I've been noticing in Toronto over the last 10 years, even longer, is not only it's becoming much more gentrified and international, but a lot of these smaller boutique stores are being abandoned. And these buildings are being sold off for condos to be built. And you see over there the 2-story buildings. Now, Yonge Street is supposedly one of the most popular streets in Toronto, a commercial street. It always has been. But unlike Broadway in New York City, wow, bookstore. You do not see these bookstores anymore. This is really rare.
I'll watch you when it comes out.
Oh, please. It is like landmark Canadian fiction.
Okay, I'll read it before it comes out and then we can go watch the film together. I think we had to read this book for school in high school, and then I did not read it because it felt like it was written by a millennial. That was weird. So
well, it is very cool to see these bookstores, especially this one here. I used to love hanging out at these bookstores. I was a bit of a nerd.
I once had a girlfriend who worked on that series. Oh, nice. Yeah. Classic CBC, old school CBC television. I seen a box set of CBC television once. I got to pick up some on DVD. It has a bunch of the old special movies and like a 6 DVD box set.
That I don't know of. It's really expensive.
Oh, it is. It is.
I think this is an Annie Leibovitz book.
I know. Well, one of my favorites is Lost
Yeah,
in the Bear.
Annie Leibovitz.
And that,
And she was doing this sort of
from an American company.
photography.
I can't really find that on DVD, but yeah, that was
She was photographing concerts and stuff.
yeah. You're right, but I just think it's just a scarcity of Canadian CBC stuff on DVD that makes it.
Excuse me. Thank you. Wow, that's very cool. Feels very warm and comforting being in a bookstore. So as I was saying, Yonge Street, there was a bylaw. When Yonge Street was being built and developed, there was a bylaw that if you were going to build more than 3 stories, you had to put in an elevator. That was the bylaw. And because most developers at the time either couldn't afford it or didn't want to expense it, they just built 2 or 3 stories. So if you can look down the street, it's not like you're looking down Broadway. I mean, Broadway, you have these huge tall buildings. The difference in New York, you know, if you walk on Broadway and you see the big tall buildings, many of them just have 1 or 2 elevators, really old rickety elevators. For like a, 20-story building. They were able to get away with it, but not in Toronto. So that's why this street became underdeveloped. But it wasn't like New York. We didn't have the same population. We didn't have the same demographic. There wasn't a necessity for that kind of Broadway building development. But now, because Toronto's in high demand as a place to come to and immigrate to, there's a lot of demand for accommodation. So it seems like every opportunity is being taken to put in a condo. So a lot of these cute small boutique stores, even like that bookstore we were just in. I'm surprised it's still there. And it's great that it's there, but they're disappearing, slowly but surely. So, compared to New York City, Yonge Street is meant to be kind of like the equivalent of Broadway Avenue. At least that's how we kind of compare it to. But obviously, you could see that it's not. But for Toronto, it was our Broadway. And in the 70s, when I was a teenager here, this street was very, very active. A lot going on here. Now we're almost at Wellesley, and we're slowly going into the church in Wellesley neighborhood, which is traditionally like the gay village. It's called the gay village because that's where most of the gay community would be. So I'm just going to walk over there. Yeah, so I've lived in Toronto a long time, brought up here. But fortunately, I've also lived in other places like Europe, Portugal, India, Southeast Asia. I lived in New York for quite a time. during the pandemic, I spent close to 9 months in Mexico. So, as much as Toronto is my base, it's not where I like to spend most of my time. And I do have a European passport because I was born in Portugal. I was born in Lisbon. And apparently I heard today that half of the Portuguese population is non-Portuguese, which I thought was insane. There's a lot of people moving there. They love it. It's the new hotspot. I don't know. I might end up there myself. Since I have family there and I have places to stay, I might consider it to be a destination at some point. But right now I'm here and I need to plan around that. Sunnybrook Hospital. All of these are new buildings. This is a brand new building practically. Yeah, so we're just coming on to Church Street and the gay village. You could see the, I think you could see the rainbow colors up ahead. I don't know how people are going to react with the camera. Torontonians tend to be very shy of cameras, not like other places. I have to be careful. Well, here we are. We're right in the center of it. So I'm just going to take a little walk south to show you a little bit of the gay village. It's still early. It's only like 7:30. So probably not a lot of action. But let's see what there is to see. Yes, 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 yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like what I'm saying is explain profession. Like she came in, she did her job. It wasn't like whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, so this is the gay village. There's a little bit of a nightlife going on already.
Oh, why don't we do
I actually find this neighborhood very, I like it actually. I'm not gay myself, but I like it. I like hanging out here. I find it very friendly. People are very friendly. And there's a lot of drag queens and, you know, drag shows. Very entertaining. What's going on here? What is this place? Cookies. Oh my god, no, I can't eat cookies. No cookies. That's interesting.
Oh yeah. Oh, bridge over top.
I think a lot of these costumes are made for the drag queens. for the performers. Here we go. It's actually pretty quiet. I was expecting quite a lot of action. I imagine probably by tomorrow night there'll be a lot more action. This is Woody's. If you come here on a Saturday night or even later on tonight, if you come here, you'll see probably a lineup. People trying to get in. They'll be having a drag show at around 10:30. And there's a couple of more places here. And that's kind of about it for this stretch. There's not a lot more. It's not a large stretch, but it's not a large stretch, but it's prominent. It's a very prominent stretch. So I think I'm going to walk up to Bloor Street and maybe just go to Italy or just hang out a little bit. Plan my weekend. I was supposed to get together with a friend tonight, but that didn't materialize. So I am solo Joe. And that does bring me to the interesting subject of my title, Solo Joe. I do like that title. I think it describes me quite well. I'm pretty much a solo guy, solo traveler. As much as I've tried to get people to come with me and to join me on these trips and adventures, I find it hard. Ooh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Stag shop. So one of the, being a solo traveler has its pluses and minuses. When I was younger, especially traveling through India, I guess I never told you about this, but I did start traveling at a young age in my 20s, going to India and Thailand, Indonesia, before videos, before YouTube. I did have a camera, and I might put up some pictures at some point to show you guys. It was a very different experience at that age. I was a solo traveler, but I was able to make a lot of connections with people. I was able to form a lot of very healthy, wonderful connections with people. And in the last 10, 15 years, with the advent of social media, I find it's harder to make those connections. Connections are not easy to make. Maybe it has to do with my age, demographics, but I know I've been traveling for a long time. I get the hang of it. I think the last time I had a really good connection with people was 2019. I was in India. I think I did a couple of vlogs, really bad ones in the beginning. And I was in Goa. I spent almost a month and a half in Goa, and I met some pretty good people. There's like 3 people that I still stay in touch with on a regular basis. We still connect. I think partly it was because of the whole COVID experience brought us together. But also I think we're on the same frequency. In Mexico, yeah, like I said, I spent 9 months, but I didn't really make strong connections there. Again, solo traveler, solo Joe. So the pros and cons. It can be lonely, no doubt. You want to be with people you connect with. You want to spend time, share, maybe even have some intimacy. It's not easy. Now there's Tinder and Bumble and all these apps. However, when I was in Mexico last 2022, I was still married, so I wasn't really on those apps. I imagine when I go traveling again, I will put myself on one of those apps, hopefully connect with people, and be able to share some experiences. But solo Joe. Now the upside, the positive side of being a solo traveler is freedom. You want to go here, you want to go there. You don't have to consult with anybody. You don't have to, you don't have to get anybody's approval. You just go. You can make decisions very quickly. They don't have to make sense. And that is, ultimate freedom. Yeah. I mean, there are certain solo travelers I see on YouTube, like Gabriel Traveler. I'm a fan. I do watch other YouTubers that I follow, like Bald and Bankrupt, and Harold Bald, I guess is his name, the Norwegian traveler. A few other guys. Gabriel Traveler, yeah, definitely a fan of his. And they're solo travelers, they're here for a week, they go somewhere else, they keep going and going and going. I would love to do that. I'm just not in a position to do that financially. I don't even have 500 subscribers right now, so I mean, I need to get to 1,000 to even crack the little niche of revenue that I would need to start doing my travels and hopefully, finance it. Because that is a goal, but sometimes it's a little daunting, especially because I'm stuck here and not everybody, my audience isn't necessarily as excited about Toronto as they would be about if I was in like Tibet or China, or if I was in some bizarre place like Bangladesh, Pakistan, or riding a camel in the desert, or meeting the Hopis, something like that, which is I would love to do, but at this point it's just not an option. So I have to contend with what I have, and that is trying to make the best of what I got here. Looking for interesting videos to make about Toronto. Maybe tomorrow night I'll go down to King Street, and it's kind of like the nightclub scene here in Toronto, where a lot of young people are literally swarming the streets at midnight looking for action. It is a bit of a, I guess the word is a meat market, because I sense that most people are there to find company. But it's quite exciting and it's quite fun, and it might be something worth doing and showing you guys, which would be great. I might try that. Well, let me know. I mean, you can always tell me if there's things that you want to see, you want to experience. But otherwise, Toronto is not New York. It's not, you know, it's always been a pretty conservative, low-key city, which is another reason people like it here. I mean, just north of here, past the lights, is a neighborhood called Rosedale, which is one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Toronto. It's a very quiet, conservative neighborhood, mostly filled with white Anglo-Saxon Protestant people, and it's very quiet. They don't show off. You know, the funny thing is, if you go into that neighborhood with multi-million-dollar mansions, you don't see Porsches or Ferraris out front. You see Volkswagens, Toyotas. Oh my God, what's going on here? It's loud. Something's going on. Something's in trouble. Oh my God. He's coming. He's coming. You know, when I lived in New York, the sirens in New York aren't like this. These sirens are very annoying, extremely annoying. The sirens in New York are not like this. They have a kind of a low, I don't know how to describe it, but they don't annoy you the same way. I would hope that they would change their sirens. So yeah, I mean, people here in Rosedale, they don't show off. They don't have Mercedes, or, I mean, yeah, they have Mercedes, but they don't have Ferraris or Lambos outside their homes. They're pretty conservative. And that's the kind of place Toronto is. It's a pretty conservative place. You know, you're not going to find the nightlife that you will find in New York. You're not going to find the nightlife that you find in Berlin, Barcelona, nothing like that. No. It's a quiet, nice town, but it's expensive. That's one thing about Toronto. It is expensive, and it's one of the most expensive cities in North America, I would have to say. You cannot get a one-bedroom apartment here downtown for less than $2,000. Nope. Two bedrooms will run you probably around $3,200. Not cheap. So, yeah, it's not cheap to live in Toronto. Something to think about when you come here. I would almost put it on par like New York City, except New York is obviously US dollars and we have Canadian dollars, but it's almost on par. Well, I think it's getting a bit dark to film. I'm going to continue this later on when there's more lighting, because it's gotten pretty dark pretty quick. It's almost 8 o'clock. So I'm gonna find me a place to get a bite to eat. I might get a slice of pizza, something like that, and let's catch up. Thanks for watching.
Okay, just do it.
Okay, go back. We're gonna walk.
Go.
We're gonna walk. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That was fire. I'm not even gonna lie.